And all right, we are live on Facebook, and we are so excited today to be chatting with you guys. If you guys are just seeing me for the first time, my name is Jessica Alstrom, and I am the creator of Transcendence International Consciousness Academy. And I am the creator and the co-host of the Quantum Revolution Tour that we are going to be basically wrecking Vegas with in just a couple of weeks. And I have a very special guest on the Quantum Revolution community tonight, Karen Andrews. She is not only a dear friend of mine, she is a professional athlete, and she also trains professional athletes. She happens to be on the other side of the planet, which is so awesome that her and I can just connect that way. Me being in freezing ice Kansas and her being in super hot Australia. So welcome, Karen. Why don't you just let everybody know who you are and what you do so everybody can get to know you real quick before we dive into this amazing conversation that we're going to have on quantum fitness today. So.
Cool. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. So like just said, I am in Australia. I live on a tiny little farm out here away from the world, but really close to the Gold Coast actually. So I'm in the country and I'm near the water as well. I've been in the fitness industry for about 25 years. And I have done a multitude of things myself, like list massive long, but I basically have always been an athlete. So from school and on our healing and our spiritual and metaphysical journeys, I found that exercise was what saved my life. Mm-hmm. And so I didn't know at the time, I do know now what all of that involved and why that happened, but I just threw myself into that world. And I realized and I learned very quickly that my physical body could do a lot of things. And the limitations that I might have set on myself in my mind were limited to my mind. For me personally, and I was able to get myself out of my head sometimes by using my body. And so fast forward 25 years to where we are now, and I've had my ups and downs and all of those pathways that we've all walked, and I really, really, really understand the power of the physical body now, which is what we're about to talk about today.
We are. So tell us about this company that you have in Australia that we are bringing to the Quantum Revolution Tour, so they can kind of get an idea of what we're going to be talking about today, specifically as far as core and courage and understanding, the whole idea of balance. So tell us a little bit about your company and the equipment that you're going to be bringing to Vegas with us before we jump in.
Yeah, so I'm so excited to come to Vegas. I was in Miami, and that was a great experience that has seen me, my life has changed dramatically since Miami. But I'm coming to Vegas, and I have a product that is part of my company called Inertia Wave. Now, I know that a lot of people that are in the metaphysical world are kind of a little bit scared of exercise, and they're a little bit like, there's a lot of fear and ego and a lot of stuff that goes into this world, and we want to try and break down those walls and break down those barriers. So with all of the experience that I've had, I've owned a gym and I train professional athletes now and boxers and people like that, really super incredible athletes. There was still something missing. And I'm blessed to have an incredible support network around me and know quite a lot of people that are very, very intelligent, much more intelligent than me. And my friend invented a product, and the product is called Inertia Wave. And this product is, as far as I'm concerned, I think it's essential for humanity. And there's lots of reasons around that and why that, when we join the metaphysical and the physical together. But yeah, we're going to bring it to Las Vegas, and we're going to do some vibrational and pretty hardcore work on our cores using the Inertia Wave. Yeah.
So tell them a little bit, if they've never seen it, what you could kind of, I was looking at your website just before we jumped on, and it's kind of like, when you look at it, it kind of looks like the traditional ropes that the CrossFit guys are using to really build that strong upper body. But your system is completely different, because I've been using it now for almost 2 months. So tell us a little bit about like what it's made with, what the purpose of it is, you know, what it does for the physical body, because I know that I'm only using it for about 3 minutes in my intention settings and in my core fitness program. So from your perspective, like what does that look like?
Yeah, so the inertia wave itself is a polymer tubing. So you would have seen, like, it looks really cool where these big heavy ropes, people are like hitting them up and down on the ground and doing all this fancy stuff with it. We really want to get away from that because it's actually quite dangerous, and there's lots of things behind that. But the inertia wave is a polymer tubing. So it's weighs 1.5 kilos or 3 pounds for you guys in the USA, or less than. So I can hold it in my pinky. That's number one. So from physical, metaphysical, it's lightened up. Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I loved about it. I can put in my backpack and ride and put it on wherever. It's portable. I can use it outside. I can use it in the gym. I can use it at home on my deck, wherever. And so basically these long polymer tubes come out, and we use it similar to the way a battle rope is used, except that when they're using the battle ropes in the gym, it's lower back and it's anterior shoulder, which we don't want, because everybody in this day and age is already like this. We want everyone, if we want our energy flow, I have that happen a lot when I'm around, everybody sits up straight because I'm like the posture queen.
Yeah.
But energy flowing through the middle of our bodies, through our central nervous system, our chakras, you know, whichever way you want to look at it. And part of that is our shoulders back. So what the inertia waves helps with is pulling, and then our heart's open. Okay. So we want our shoulders pulled back. So it works on our posterior chain, which is all down the back, and our core. Now, I particularly love the fact that it works on core more than anything that I've ever seen or used or experienced before in all of the years that I've been doing this. And we're seeing some incredible things happen to some of the athletes and normal people that are using it through the core.
Yeah, and I really want to break this down, because today I want to talk about quantum fitness. And for anybody who follows me or you know, works with me in the academy or is taking my warrior training right now, which is what this whole kind of idea of bringing this kind of warrior aspect of physical strength to the Quantum Revolution Tour was, you know, for a really long time, I used cardio to keep the crazy down, you know, like in my life, like I used a lot of accelerated cardio to literally like just kind of create a hormonal balance within myself, you know, to release those happy hormones and to kind of process a lot of emotion out of my body. And it really did work. But I noticed that my entire life, after 4 babies, you know, hitting my 40s, carrying my stress in the lower belly, you know, where the women carry it in the lymphatic system as their like hips and thighs and lower belly and under the arms, right? And right here. It's like seriously like where women carry a lot of their stress, and men, they carry it in their lower belly as well and around their heart. So for me, it was like I was doing all this cardio and I was like skinny fat girl, you know what I mean? Where it's like I'm burning a lot of calories, but I'm also burning too much energy and I'm not stabilizing myself. And so I still had all of this like this stuff going on in the middle. And when I decided to do this warrior training, it actually had nothing to do with the way my body looked or getting strong. It was, I set the intention that I wanted to be strong, you know, and it wasn't like I wanted a strong body. I was like, I wanted to be strong emotionally. I wanted to be secure. I wanted to be confident. I wanted to feel good in my body. And so as I started writing this warrior training, Karen and I were talking, and she started telling me about this instant that she was training this boxer with her inertia wave program. And I literally, it was just like a zap of like, I need it. Send it to me immediately. I have to integrate it into the warrior training. I have to use this in the IM processes. I need to develop this core strength within me. We're in the 3rd phase of awakening, if you understand where we are in the ascension process. And that is I demonstrate, and that is the solar plexus energy. That's this gut area. It's that belly. It's the core. It's what balances the spiritual and the human together is right here in the middle. It's the middle, the bridge. And so she sent it to me. I got it within a couple of days. It was freezing cold. So I just locked it in my garage door from the inside of my own garage. And I literally, legs apart, shoulders back. Again, we don't realize how much our energy is like this. And when our energy is like this, you guys, we're taking in energy. We're not pushing energy. we're literally absorbing, you know, you guys are saying, oh, energy vampires. When your shoulders are like that, it's a welcome mat for energy to come in. When your shoulders are like that, you're exuding your energy, your heart chakra is open. And when your heart chakra is open, it's invincible. It's unbreakable. You can't actually get hurt like this. You only can get hurt like this. And so I started using designated music in coherence with an intention as I did my 3-minute routine. And I'm not joking. I literally started to feel like a superhero. Like I was like, I am the strongest person. I mean, it was literally like this mindset that like started washing over me, and I didn't even care about how the physical looked. I noticed that like my posture completely changed, which my confidence changed, because when with our body changing, we change, because the way we carry our body is it's a barometer of how we feel about ourselves. And with that understanding that I'm also clairvoyant and I see energy and frequency, I began to see these wave patterns happening. And I got on the phone with Karen and I was like, I'm producing scalar energy here. And she's like, I know, shh, right? And we're like, we can't talk about this publicly. Like, we don't have any proof scientifically. And I'm like, I'm witnessing this. Like, I'm seeing these waveforms happen, and I'm seeing this kind of ultra frequency being processed from in and coming back. And it was like this communication cycle that I was having with the universe that I wasn't having like this in my head, logically thinking about my manifestations. Now I was like stepping into this creator mode. And I have lost probably about 5 inches off of my waist in less than 2 months. And that was like a bonus, because 4 kids, you kind of just like, you know, I'm not a model, I don't get paid for my body, but you're like, oh my gosh, I have a middle, right? And this middle it's not big, it's fit. And when it's fit, when you feel your abs working from the inside, your hips relax, your knees relax, your joints relax, your shoulders relax, because you're grounded and centered from the middle, right? So I started just having these kind of like really nerdy conversations with Karen about what if we use different music, if we set different intentions with this technology, and like what she was noticing when people were present and not present. So give us an example of someone who is really present when they're using the inertia wave and focused and setting intentions, versus someone who's not confident in their body. Like, give us what you notice from your professional training viewpoint.
Yep. So I have a professional that I train, and there's a bit of feedback coming back. Can you hear me still?
You're great.
Okay, so I have a professional athlete that I train at the moment, and he is a boxer. He's like, I think, number 7 in Australia, and we have a fight coming up. So we've been using inertia wave. When he started using it, not long after, he then won a title. And so I was training with him hands-on, so I got to really see how this was interacting with him. So the thing that I love about the inertia wave that I've never seen in anything else that I've trained people in, and keep in mind, I used to own my own gym. I've trained hundreds, probably 500 people, maybe more. There was never a feedback system. So some people are very good, we're all very good at hiding our emotions under layers of stuff. Yeah. Mostly, we really are. And we need to start letting go of that. We need to start lightening up and enjoying this process. And we need to start being okay with in our bodies, because we're here in our bodies, right? Anyway, so I started working with Benji, and he was already, I'm going to win this title. But I could tell, he wasn't. I started putting him on inertia wave, and he's a professional athlete. He knows his body, and he could do 30 seconds. 30 seconds. A boxer ranked in Australia. That's no mean feat. They're some of the fittest athletes on this planet. And the reason why was his core was not strong, and his shoulders were forward. So he was carrying all of this weight, like the world on his shoulders. So slowly, bit by bit, we started opening up his shoulders. He started standing taller. He went on to win a title. But in some of the training sessions that I was noticing was the inertia wave was giving me a feedback of what his mood was like in particular. I could see it. Yep, I could see it in the boys, funnily enough, because they're not as good at hiding it. Not when they're getting physical, they get real aggro or whatever. And so the inertia wave, one particular training session, he came and he's a very cool, calm, collected guy. And he came and he was, like, yeah, everything's cool. But the inertia wave, when it was waving, was telling me, I could see it because I could see the waves. And the other thing with it is it makes a noise. So you can hear the vibration and the frequency of what you're creating from your body. And that's very cool because you can't do that with anything else. And so the waves were not quite right. And I was like, hang on a second, what's going on here? Oh, no, nothing. Everything's fine, Karen. And it ended up being that, no, everything wasn't fine. There was stuff going on in his life. And so as a trainer, it gave me the opportunity to stop the session, have a chat, get his head back in the space that it needed to be to get the most out of the training and get him focused on what he was doing again. And so as I was telling him, I'm very good at my job, and I was telling him to focus, and we were putting the energy into the waves, they were on fire. And the energy that was coming off these things was like, I've got goosebumps remembering that workout because it centered him again. And centered is probably a very important word when it comes to inertia wave, because it's the power of the exercise is from the center. And when those waves were going and he was going hardcore, it was like people were stopping and staring. They don't know what they're staring at. They just got these fancy things going up and down.
Right. They're just feeling that energy. Yeah.
The energy that was coming off these things. And if we talk scalar, that's unstoppable. Like Helena knows that with the stuff. That energy is unstoppable. That's out into the universe. So the opportunity that to change from inside, which is what all this warrior training is about, right?
Right.
We're learning compassion. Now, I was on the treadmill this morning, just walking, thinking about what we're doing today. And I was like, it's got nothing to do with compassion outside of me. It's compassion for me. It's the strength for me. It's the inner, the core strength for me. And the more and more and more that I'm using these inertia waves with myself and people, I am seeing them standing up taller. I'm seeing lives change in front of my face that I'm not participating in for the first time, that I'm not the one that's, here, you need to do this and this. They're doing it for themselves.
Yes.
Because they've got their power back from their core and they're balanced into the ground and in the head. And so this session with Benji, I was taking photos. And I have one photo, I sent it to you. I have one photo where the wave itself, there's a photo of the wave going up and down, and one of the waves is still in the air that's left an imprint.
Yeah.
It was so cool.
It's so cool.
So cool. And that is energy. We know that. That's energy, that's frequency, and that was power. That was focused intention. I'm winning this fight, and he went and won.
Yeah.
Title. So it's very powerful when it's used with intent. And I can say that from athletes, and I can say that from mums, because I'm a mum. I have 3 children, and doing all of that stuff. And just because I've done all this athletic stuff in my life doesn't mean that it still isn't work, like, going and making myself keep healthy, keep fit, choose right foods and stuff. And my core had suffered from 3 children. Yeah. And it's never the same. Now, good.
I know. Well, and another thing too, as far as like looking at the metaphysical community, it's like all of your most powerful moments, you guys, and we usually have had in the past, is all this mental imagination, feeling your power in your mind. But it is a completely different animal when you begin to feel that power in your body. Yeah. And you begin to be able to move that body just like your mind is feeling. It's like, think about that last meditation where you felt, like an unstoppable, unlimited creator. And then, you went outside to try to do something and your body was weak. It's like, when's the last time you drove a car that wasn't working that well? You didn't feel confident in that car. But if you get in a car that's solid and it turns just right and it flows, it's like you want to step on the gas, don't you? And it's like, we really have to understand that the one thing that we technically own on the planet is this body. and this body is our house. And if we don't learn to be in it, because we really do create manifestations, not in the crown. That is where the genius, wonderful idea from spirit and higher self comes, but it manifests in the root. It manifests in the sacral root and solar plexus. And that is this whole core idea of ourselves. And without a stable, grounded, confident root, you're not really the I am. You're the I wish I was, the hope I will be, the one who's has their dreams and their visions out here. But if everything we're doing in the Quantum Revolution Tour and everything we're doing in warrior training is embodying that strength, it is taking the metaphysical dream state of, you know, meditation and going a little bit step past yoga, not to put yoga down, because yoga is brilliant for the mind, body, soul connection and bringing that house together. But taking it one step further and becoming a powerhouse of energy that not only you can push out, but you can bring back to you like a boomerang, right? So that, I mean, that's really what I've noticed. And you know, before I became a scientist, I was a personal trainer. I was a nutritionist back in Hollywood. People paid me to get them skinny, you know, and basically it was a lot of life coaching because their food choices came from emotional eating. And the workout routines came from vanity. You know, I want to look like this. I want to look like this. But with the inertia wave, the way we're going to be doing it in Vegas is it's not about way you look, it's how you feel. And when we set an intention that this is how we want to feel, then we're going to mimic that feeling and we're going to become the conduit of that scalar energy of working with one of the universe. Because I think a lot of us feel like when you see a superhero movie or you see a professional athlete, you're like, you get pumped because you're like, I know what the human body can do. You know what I mean? And then it's like you get in the gym and you're like, ah, oh, right?
And the funny thing is when that happens, pumped, and then when it doesn't happen straight away, what the first thing that I've noticed for people is that they do this.
Mm-hmm. The feet.
If it would only stay up long enough, if everyone would only be up long enough to let the energy flow and keep going so that it becomes flow and get this strong. Our strength, it's like a tree. A tree's strength doesn't come from the top down, like the magic and everything. But if everything down the bottom is not strong, it's going to fall over in the wind.
Right.
Like what you said about the car. Like a lot of people are allowing the car to drive them.
Oh, yes, like 90% of the planet.
And we need to own our bodies and start driving our bodies as the high performance vehicles that they actually are, because they're supercomputers.
They are
more than a supercomputer. Like I was saying to one of my daughters the other day, they were asking me some things about quantum physics, and I was like, you just imagine she lost her tooth. Okay. And so it was our beautiful little learning. I said, you imagine, and the next one was coming through, and she's like, imagine what is happening while you're asleep, that to make that tooth grow that wasn't there yesterday. So this is happening with our bodies all of the time, and we have the opportunity to take our power back and make our bodies strong. Stop accepting illness and sickness and pain and all of those things. Like, I believe that they're a great point of I have done something wrong, backtrack, as we go back into the shadows and figure out what the hell we did wrong to have pain in our back or whatever. 99% of it comes from not being strong in the first place. And as children, most children, as they're manifesting through their childhood, they can do backflips and somersaults and handstands and all of these things because they're strong in their cores.
Yeah.
They're strong in their cores. They haven't let it go yet because they're moving all of the time. Whereas most adults today are very sedentary, and we're not going to be able to manifest what we want in a sedentary place.
Right.
Got to be moving. Our bodies need to move. And the inertia wave, I love because we move short. It's short. So when we talk about time, people don't want to spend their time in the gyms and all of this sort of stuff. You don't have to. We do short bursts of it, and if you can do 3 minutes, then good luck with that, because most people start with about 30 seconds or 20 seconds on 10 seconds off, 20 seconds on, 10 seconds off. That's all we need. So
yeah. And that, I mean, that's really all your body can do in the beginning. You know, like I noticed even 10 seconds when I first started. What I try to do is to do a whole 3 minutes, but I can't do 3 minutes straight. So I actually use those breaths in the process to kind of realign the body, set another intention, flip up the song, and then give 100% again until basically my muscles start to fatigue, which I know that if I can say, you know, just go a little bit past that suffering point, what I'm doing is I'm breaking patterns, aren't I? It's like, and I just talked about that in the compassion lesson today of warrior training. If we would just surpass that and move and stop looking at suffering and pain as necessarily a bad thing, but looking at it as a threshold and moving through it into the other side of a rebirth, because those muscles are going to be rebirthed, but they're going to be rebirthed stronger, healthier, wiser, more confident. Because the thing is, the cells are always looking to you to decide what they are and what they should be doing. So they're either weak and sick, or they're strong and they're in their power. And when you're strong and in your power, you have this amazing ability to create around you like ripples. Like you're focused on being strong here, yet your life starts to get strong. And that's what Karen and I were talking about. Another thing, like all the things we've noticed, like just personally from our own, not necessarily, oh, your mic got muted there. Your mic got muted. Let's see if I can unmute you. Oh, there you are. You're good. And what I've noticed is that when my core is balanced and I feel confident, my life just flows. Like I noticed that I haven't been cleaning my house as much because my house isn't dirty. It's just staying organized. I'm noticing that the stuff going on with my kids is just flowing versus these interruptions and these block points. So it's not just my body feeling good. My body is the biography of my reality. And what my body feels about me is the electromagnetic energy that I'm going to draw things to me or push things away. And if I'm opening up my heart center by feeling strong, then biologically, I'm also accessing more oxygen flow all the way down to my toes, because that nervous system is opened and aligned to the back of my brain versus detached. You know, when you're on your phone like this, you know, you just went through a big Cairo experience, right? Getting completely realigned. And it's almost like it was designed for us to have a forward head position and disconnect the brain and the nervous system, the spine, which is the brain's tail, further apart so that miscommunication can happen. And then the brain can't talk to the body, and then everything goes haywire. You start to feel bipolar, you start to feel overwhelmed, you start to feel anxious. And when we bring that brain and that spine back together and we realign it, then what happens is this like force of energy just goes, and it's a conduit from the middle of the earth till the top of the cosmos. And you literally feel like you're plugged in instead of battery operated, right?
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. And the other thing that I'm finding with people, not just me, not just you, but the others that are using it, is that it becomes, for want of a better word, and I know this will trigger some people, but it almost becomes addictive, because the body is like, I
want this.
That is,
it feels so good.
It's making me feel strong. It's making me feel fit. It's making me feel good. It's making my clothes fit better, whatever it is that's going on for, it's helping release some of the stuff as well that people have been holding, you know, and they didn't even know they were.
Right.
So, you know, and being able to hear, and in Vegas, you'll all hear it, hear the frequency of something that the energy is coming from you, is quite incredible. And it's quite an experience to be around. When I've been in a gym when there's been 8 going at once, and that class is always full.
Yeah.
That class is always full, because, and if the gym actually took it out for a little while and they had to put it back in because the people wanted it, because it feels good. It's making them, and it's changing the energy and the frequency and all of that in the entire room, in the entire space. And if it's used correctly, then when a whole bunch of light workers, healers, whatever the word is that everyone wants to use, with intent, are able to use this from their core, how, I can't even put a value on what might actually be achievable. Unlimited potential.
Exactly.
Because and then in Vegas, using that alongside the coils, with what that frequency. Whoa. Look,
I know, we're gonna blow the roof off that place. Let me ask you a question, because we've talked about this before in our chats. You have gone into the metaphysical community at times to educate. What's the thing you notice the most about what's going on in the metaphysical community or the spiritual community that is missing as far as really stepping into our power as light workers?
Yeah. So one is, I still find there's a lot of judgment. There's a lot of ego, and they don't realize that it's happening. So there's a lot of resistance. There's a lot of resistance to working out. It's almost as if it's one or the other, which has always really confused me in one way, because it can't be one or the other. Where to be whole, it has to be all. And the other thing is almost having a fear around looking good.
Right? There's judgment. Like, I'm supposed to look like a troll or something if I'm going to be a like.
Yeah, and
the old paradigm spirituality. You can't be hot.
And it's like, you don't have to be an athlete, and you don't have to be, have muscles and all of that stuff. But looking good comes from within.
It does.
Because it shines without, so you can walk into a room, and I know we spoke about this in some of our calls, where there have been times when I'm like, feel amazing. I don't really care what I look like, but I can stop a room.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not ego, that's truth. And that is because I'm strong. I'm strong in my body. I'm confident in my body. I'm driving my body. And therefore I am taking me where I need to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not living in a fantasy world, because ultimately the times that I did live in a fantasy world, I got sick.
Yeah.
And my body started, we spoke about this when we spoke the other day, my body started not trusting me anymore, that I was not taking it where it needed to go or wanted to go. And so it took over.
Yeah.
And I looked at that from my physical perspective, and I was like, my body's not working anymore. But it wasn't that my body wasn't working. It just took over, and it didn't trust me anymore because I wasn't driving it properly. And now that I am, and I have this incredible tool, I'm so grateful for it. It has helped me. It has propelled me to, I don't even know how many years ahead of where I thought I would be if I didn't have it.
Yeah.
But in the community, I feel like it's like this or this. It's like, can't be that.
Yeah.
Together, mind, soul.
Exactly. And going back to the statement about judgment, the thing I noticed is living in so many different worlds as I have, it's like I was in the fitness community, I was in the nutrition community, I was in the scientific communities, I've been in spiritual communities. It's the same judgment. It's like spiritual people have a tendency to look people at the gym that they're just shallow, and they're vain, and they're only focused on the physical aspects. And that is true. There's a lot of people using fitness as an addiction. We know that. We know that they're working to be that perfect outside to hide the inside. But that's not what this conversation is about. This is not about the perfect body. This is about feeling like you in your body, feeling like the universe that you are in the body that you happen to own, and making it your real home. And like you said, trusting it. I mean, I had an autoimmune disease, and it was exactly the same reason. I had fallen out of communication with my body. And my body did the best it could, so it took over. But it took over with all of these old negative belief systems inside of it, that I wasn't good enough, that I wasn't deserving, that I wasn't strong, that I was small, that I was weak. So my body literally became all of those things, and it began to die on me. Because if you understand autoimmune, it is literally like the immune system attacking itself, which is a slow death process. And when I started to understand epigenetics, which is the science of intention, directing the genetics and the cells and the subatomic level of the body to change and move as a conscious creator, so the body begins to mimic the consciousness versus programs, then all of a sudden within 3.5 months, my autoimmune was gone. I had no pain in my body. And a short time after that, when I started to work on a trust relationship with my body, my eating disorder disappeared because I wasn't using this kind of control, perfectionism, love-hate thing. I was listening, responding, but I was also pushing myself because, as you guys know, if you follow me for the next year, I'm going to be teaching the 22 principles of creating the superhuman body and the superhuman consciousness that goes in this body. Because think about it, whenever you see a superhero on the screen, right, male or female, they're wearing skin-tight clothing to show the muscle outline of their body. And if you watch the stories, they're quite metaphysical in their approach to saving the world, aren't they? So this whole judgment of oh, you can't be beautiful and you can't be strong and you can't be fit, you know, and there's a judgment there about who and what we can. The universe is this and that. We're here to have it all. We're here to have as many babies as we want, to be the CEO of our company, to be spiritual, to have a beer, to eat a pizza once in a while, to embrace life and all of its experience and live in no boxes. But the only way that we're going to be able to get out of the box is if we break them down and we finally figure out what the body can do. Because like the analogy that I've given people is when you're asleep, you're like driving an old pickup truck. You know, you can eat crap and you can drink a lot and you don't really feel that sensitive. You feel like just a tank. But then when you start to move through your awakening process, what's happening is your body's turning into that high performance Ferrari. It requires good gas. It requires a nice garage to keep it, you know, fresh and clean. And it also requires it to be run. Because if you don't run a Ferrari, it breaks. Yeah. And if we're moving into light and we're speeding up, if these body frequencies are speeding up, then we got to take these things out and see what they're really capable of doing, right?
Absolutely. And they are capable of doing really incredible, fun, hard, like there are no limits with what your body can do.
Right.
And the thing is that we see this every day. And I do see this a lot in the metaphysical community, where it's a lot of motivational quotes and motivational videos and things like that. And if you look at those motivational people, especially if it's an athlete of any kind, which a lot of them are, when they're, you know, they have those long videos and it's like, go do this and just do it and all of this sort of stuff, they look incredible and they're doing incredible things. That's so right. That didn't just happen. They've had an athlete's brain is wired in such a way that their body is not, their body is a machine. Yeah. And their body is under no circumstances going to prevent them from having what they want. Right. Their body is the tool and the vehicle to get them to where they're going and have what they want. So they've mastered the art of getting the body, and a lot of really professional athletes have mastered the art of both the body and the mind together.
Yes. Well, and that's what we're doing right now with one of the major league sporting teams in Kansas City. We're working in the World Trading Center as kind of the cognitive therapist to get them to understand that when their mind and their body is in sync, they're unlimited. And so this inertia wave is not get your best body. It is to learn how to sync the biocomputer to actually to become both metaphysical or non-physical and completely physical in one command system versus the dream state and then circumstances. Because most people, they escape to their dream state and then they're in fear of their circumstances. So they're living this double life, which causes you to be split in half, and it causes your root and your sacral chakra to be out of alignment with your crown. It becomes a very unhappy family here. And this is exactly why I decided to teach this warrior training before Vegas, because the idea of Vegas is going to be very different than Miami. In Miami, it was all about taking the command of yes, and it was believing in ourselves, and it was standing in our truth, and it was opening our heart. But you know what? We did that in Miami, and we're doing that in the warrior training in Vegas. We're going all the way with what the body is capable of doing with the I am intention. See, if you understand that athletes are never going into the gym just to train. They go into the gym to train for a specific, a very, very, very particular outcome. They are not just going in there and just going through their circuit mindlessly. They are focused on what is going to get them the strongest, the most agile, the fastest, the leanest, whatever. They have to be obsessed. And I talk about obsession all the time, is that the natural biocomputer is always obsessed with something. But you're either in expansion or drama. Yep. You're either in destruction or creation. So we all need to be more obsessed about the outcome of what we want in our lives.
Yeah, obsessed with a goal. So the last time I got on stage, I didn't get on stage just because I felt like it. That was 20 weeks of preparation, every food down to the macro, macro. So it's discipline as well.
It is. Mm-hmm.
And we're all doing the discipline in the warrior training. We're doing the discipline in the mind, and in the metaphysical community, they're really good at the discipline in the mind.
Yeah.
They're really, really good at the discipline. We need to be able to honor our bodies, and we need to be able to love our bodies.
Yeah.
And give them the opportunity to show you what it's capable of, and what it can do to help take you where you need to go, because it's capable of incredible things. We don't know like what's happening when we're asleep, what it's doing for us unconsciously, all of those sort of things. But discipline's another really big one. And discipline in the core will change your life.
Right.
Because we spoke about one word that goes with that, and it's courage. It's courage to do that. It's courage to do something different. Mm-hmm. It's courage to look at something with no judgment. Mm-hmm. And it's courage to listen and go, yeah, that really resonates with me, and I'm going to do that. Discipline and consistent action.
Right.
That's what we're all doing with warrior training. That's what we all do with our metaphysical work. We're very disciplined with that.
We are. We're disciplined in our meditations. We're in our visions. You know, our language. We've attuned our language to speak in positivity. So, and a lot of people hear that word disciplined and they go, ooh, I don't like rules, especially, you know, us light workers. We don't like rules. Authority makes us cringe. But if you understand that word discipline, it comes from the word disciple, and it means to basically be a student. And I did a class about a couple of years ago, because people always hire me to go help me find my soulmate, right? And I said, there's 4 frequencies that you need to find a soulmate, but your first soulmate is you. Yep. And if you're not in a divine partnership with this physical body, then you're never going to be in one with another body, because the relationship that you have with this body is going to determine every other relationship. And those 4 frequencies are loyalty, trust, right? Compassion, which is aka understanding. And the last one is attraction. Are you attracted to you? Can you hold your body up and be like, damn, I feel good in this thing? And I'm going to tell you that takes you to a whole nother level. You know what I mean? Because it's like, even when I was teaching in Miami and I was on the stage, like I have a very strong confidence of my mind and my connection to spirit. Like I don't even need to know what I'm saying, but I felt slightly disconnected in my body that weekend. And I really had to ground, and thank goodness Helena's technology was there, because it was pretty much a no-brainer. But then after that event, I was like, my core feels weak. And that's when I met you, and I started working in Vegas, and I started getting all these downloads about the superhuman DNA activations that are happening on the planet, and how if we're moving into 5D, everything's going to be moving faster, and everything is going to be more interactive, which means parallel realities. And if you're not grounded in who you are and have absolute trust for this and your body, and be attracted to this thing, and feel attractive in this thing, and be loyal to it. It's not about being loyal to your spouse so you're eating what he's eating. It's about going, you know what, that food, I'll feed it to you, but I'm going to eat what I want to eat. And feeling safe to say that in your own family, right?
Yeah, well, what happens when this really does start working for you in the core? Like I said, I kind of lost my way when my body stopped trusting me. I had, it was when I turned 43 or 42, some stuff started happening. And it was like, whoa, what is going on? It never happened before. So I've been doing the warrior training, and after my me a lot changed, did that inertia wave, started really integrating this stuff into my life. So now my family, like it kind of annoys me sometimes. They love won't eat anything unless it's what I'm eating.
Nice.
So what you do this is where that power comes, is that I have the ability, without saying one word or doing one thing, to change everything in my circumstances.
That's true.
Just by being myself.
Right.
Is that freedom and abundance and enlightenment? Like, it feels that way, and it feels powerful. It feels good, and it's not ego or any of that stuff. It's me.
But it's you holding your presence big enough where people attune to their own frequencies around you. And we were talking about that in another video, is when you're exuding your divine presence, and your emotional and your spiritual and your etherical and your chemical body is all in alignment, you become a force of nature. Yeah. It's like I teach it, it's like you're not attracted to a professional athlete, you're attracted to their presence. You're not attracted to that singer on stage, you're attracted to what kind of effect it can create. Yeah. And because we are cause and effect, and we are either being the effect of our cause, or we are being the cause of our effect, and we are here to be that dominant creator. And I think the missing piece in the metaphysical community is they think that they can do it without the body. They think that they can do it in the etherical, and they can kind of hide and avoid emotions, but emotions are energy in motion. And another thing that happens with exercise, and I'd like you to talk about this a little bit more too, is that we can process huge amounts of old stored emotion through physical activity.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially with intent. And that's where inertia waves are really special, because our cells, when we exercise, our cells are continually repairing. It all happens when we're asleep. That's why sleep's really important. But the work happens when we're doing the work. Right. Healing happens when we're asleep. And so if you're exercising with intent, you can change your life very quickly, very quickly, very quickly, because it and without having to delve into shadows and sit in those spaces, because the serotonin and all of the good hormones that are released when we're exercising, they can help you through that without having to go into it. Right. Without that's what I talk about when our bodies are. I don't believe that many people on the planet have really experienced what their body is capable of doing for them, and how incredibly blessed we are that we have this and everything that goes with that, us to tell us when things are not right, and to tell us when things are right. And one thing that I have noticed a lot in Metaphysical is the honoring of that. Yeah. The honor when it's bad, but not when it's telling you it's good. Yeah. And we need to, because like, it is okay to be fit. In fact, it's fantastic to be fit and strong. And I can tell you, to have muscles and all of that stuff. Great.
Well, what are muscles? Muscles are they're consciousness. Yeah. Fat is stored emotion. Fat is stored toxic energy. It's stored programs. Yep. Fat is basically information sitting idle. Muscle is an engine saying, let's go. And it's a communicator. And it is actually, muscle is what's in alignment with source energy and higher self. And fat is what's in alignment with the ego. Not that body fat is bad or good, but to understand that water and, the idea of toxic fat being in the body, it is just, it's like a box of memories sitting there. And whether we're carrying those, amen, yeah. If we're carrying those toxins in our visceral fat, which is the fat inside of our heart, inside of our liver, maybe we don't look fat, but maybe we still have those storages, that what I've noticed is when we get the cardio and we start to use that kind of, if I'm right in saying this, kind of the anabolic state, where we're doing high levels of intensity for a short amount of time, what we're doing is we're kind of creating that breakthrough foundation for the muscles to be able to go, well, if I can do this, I can do this. And if I can do this, I can do this. And it's like racing a car and starting to feel more confident. And it takes practice. But again, going back to the idea of we no longer ever doing anything without intent. You know, if it's like, if you're going to yoga so that you can just unwind, that's fabulous. But how about going to yoga with the intent that I'm going to get to know my body better? And when we're doing this inertia wave and we're really stepping into this, like I would call this core conditioning, right? And core is AKA for courage. Then what we're doing is we're having the courage to really test drive these bodies with the idea of bringing the metaphysics in with intention. And to me, intention is not a prayer of please, please, please. Intention is stepping forth and commanding. So when I'm using the inertia wave, I am seeing myself as the highest version of myself, I'm not seeing myself do this. I'm literally seeing myself living my highest level of unlimited potential in this reality. And then I have the music, which brings my right and left hemisphere together. And, you know, we've got two sides of the body. And so you've noticed that one side can be weaker than the other. And we'll talk about that in a minute. But what it brings is it brings coherence. And then all of a sudden I'm in this flow and the 30-second mark goes and I'm like, I can't wait to do it again, because I can be in that, like that state where my muscles are working, my brain is working, my imagination is working, my frontal cortex is active, my limbic brain is in the state of basically ecstasy. And so I'm living in this ultimate utopia of creation, and you feel completely limitless. So let's talk a little bit about what you've noticed with the right and the left sides of the body, because people will be noticing this in Vegas.
Yeah. So the movement, there's different movements that we do. Some are cross and some are up and down and all of these sort of things. And we'll show everybody that. But the one in particular that is actually called the inertia wave, which is up and down, up and down. Mm-hmm. Every person that's done it so far that I've put through it has a weak side.
Yeah.
No one's balanced. Now, it's very, very linked to the brain, so the left-right brain, because everything has to flow left and right. And so what I've noticed is as people go along, when they're very, very focused and they've like I've been able to tell them, you can see it, you've been able to see it yourself, which side is not balanced. Okay. You can bring the focus back and you can actually get it quite balanced. And over time, that's massively powerful for the neurological pathways that connect our brain and our body. Mm-hmm. Massively. So there's some kids over in the USA with like ADD and things like that. They've started using it and they absolutely love it because it's fun as well. And they're noticing quite a lot of differences with what's happening with their brains and their processing skills. And so as adults, as we've grown, usually one side takes over. We're right-handed and we're right-handed. So one side of the brain works to tell our right to use all of the time. Yeah. And we can bring that back, which is really, really important if we're going to, because I believe our bodies have four quadrants. So up and down the middle, left and right. So from the root underneath to the legs, up, and then down the middle. And if the spine and the central nervous system, which is our neck, sometimes our necks are sitting off or forward, they're in fight or flight, different things are going on, that can be an old wound or an old experience that has caused that in the body so that both sides are not working properly anymore. Mm-hmm. And we don't even consciously know that, but I can tell you after working with people that I've had people cry.
Yeah, because they're having an emotional release.
Yeah, and I like that as a trainer. I like that because it's like, yes, now we can get somewhere because you're letting stuff
just go. Let it go. Mm-hmm.
And that can happen really fast. Like when I had my gym, that sometimes wouldn't happen for a year because I have to try and get them to that state where people are really good at resistance. But it's a lot easier with inertia wave.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier. And part of it is for the left and the right brain to work together as cohesion, they've got to let go and stop fighting with each other.
Right. They've got to get into sync, flow. Yep.
It's got to be. And then, of course, we've got the waves that are produced from that. So with
Yep.
intent, make that happen really fast.
And I loved what you said about the ADD, and I'm so glad you touched on that, because for me, I've had that my whole life, which to me means I'm able to multitask consciously. But I've also seen that now that we've shifted into the fifth dimension, that sedentary meditation is becoming obsolete. And the best form of meditation for us to actively integrate is through movement. And I've noticed that I used to back in 2008, I would go 6 hours of deep trance meditation and breath work. And I would go to all places in the universe. Now I can do that in 3 minutes with the inertia wave. And the reason why is because you understand that you actually get a better meditation if your subconscious is actively doing something like taking a shower or driving or running or walking or dancing or singing. You're actually more in the flow of the whole system because you are multidimensional. And you're not here to just think. You're not here to just write. You're here to be one fluid system of being able to think, feel, and do all at the same time. And if you have alignment of thought, word, and deed, then you become that kind of force of nature that can accelerate into the limited potentials. And I've noticed that for the last couple of years, I haven't been able to sit and meditate. Like going on a super fast run or going on a treadmill or an elliptical machine or the inertia wave or even dancing, just static dancing or whatever. Those are my best meditations now because my body gets to come with me instead of it just being a mind thing, because we've lived, the metaphysical community has lived in the mind and in the spiritual realm, but the magic and heaven on earth is actually created in the beauty of heaven is brought through here and it's manifested in the root, because we all want wealth and abundance and timelessness and beauty, and we all want these things, and those are all form. Those are real things that you can touch and feel and taste. That isn't to be avoided, that's to be experienced. So if we actually want to experience like heaven on earth, we have to get in the body to actually be able to manifest that.
Yeah, and not be afraid of that. Not be afraid.
Right.
I think that's been probably, when you ask what I've noticed most in the two worlds, is a lot of fear around that and it comes from the judgment and all of those sort of things. But the body's not to be feared. The body is there.
But you know, when you felt weak your whole life, or you felt different, or you felt like the black sheep, or you felt undeserving, or you felt unworthy, your body is going to be afraid when they look at someone like you who's on the stage, you know, rock hard and strong, going, I couldn't be like that. They don't realize that they literally are conditioning their body and with every thought. Yeah. And if they switch that. So what we're going to be doing, I want to spend this last couple of minutes talking about like what we're actually going to be doing in Vegas, because I know a lot of people are like, what are we doing? You know, first of all of you are going to be able to do this. I know there's a couple of people who have reached out to me over the last couple of days and said, oh, I'm pregnant. So we're going to alter some things for you guys as far as how far we're going to take you. But by just being in coherence of the space, regardless if you're interactive or not, you're going to receive everything that you need to receive. So regardless of what your situation is. And the way that we're going to do it this time is we're going to be activating higher levels of consciousness, but we're bringing the body with us. We're not just going to go into deep levels of meditation with our brain waves, but we're going to bring that frequency of gamma, theta, alpha, delta, and beta when we need it down into the body to basically remind this body of its own potential by acting it out, because you do not learn through watching or hearing. If you've ever watched like Muhammad Ali train, he says, as he's working out, I'm the greatest, I'm the greatest, I'm the greatest. And he says that, he even said that before his first fight. And so his body, after a while, said, I'm the greatest. And every cell in his body said, I'm the greatest, because they're basically recording devices, which is what cells are. And the more you say something and the more you act it out, the more the body becomes it, right? And if you've ever watched Tony Robbins get ready for an event, he says, I am the best. He says that before every show as he's running and working out and going through all of his catalysts of growth that he does, his whole routine. And those are two analogies of someone in the professional sports world and in the professional metaphysical world who have the same routine, right? So the only thing that separates them from us or any of us is basically their daily routine, their power of intention, their power of focus, how obsessed you are, how bad do you want it, how willing are you going to be disciplined to your own hopes and dreams, and then are you going to be able to show up for yourself until yourself begins to show up for you, right? And that's what we're doing in Vegas is we're going to kind of push you into these really comfortable yet not foreign spaces that after you integrate in, you're going to feel like this is what's been missing in your life, having the access to the higher frequencies from the technology, the quantum technology, having the quantum fitness there for us to integrate it into the root with the I am intentions and really decide who we want to be after the event. And when we leave that event, we are that being. We are strong, we are fit, we know, and we have the capability to not only have the memory of the weekend, but take the weekend with us for the rest of our life, because they'll be able to take every essence of that with them and not just be like, wow, that was a great high and now I have to go low, because we're literally training you for success and we're teaching you how to be focused, which if you understand quantum theory at all, the science of creation is like seriously just hella focus. Like the more focused you are, and I mean, as an athlete, you were on the stage competing with other people. What was that like?
Focus.
That's it.
Like the day was fun because I'd done all the work.
That's right.
Well, I got to the end state of what I'd focused on for all of the time to get there, and I just had a blast on the day because I'd done it. But to get there, I had to be focused.
That's right.
I was on the prize, and I had to sacrifice. I had to be disciplined. I had to do all of the things that I knew and my body knew it needed to do. My brain and my body had to work together. I had to work as the me, myself, and I to do anything like that, because I had set myself an intention. It wasn't about, for me, it wasn't about what I looked like on stage. I was 40. Everyone else was 20. I'd had 3 children. None of the others had. That wasn't what it was. It was a challenge. It was my personal challenge to see at 40, can I do this?
Yeah.
So let's see, game on. And I set myself that challenge. And I think the other thing is that when we're going into this space, nobody has to do this.
Yeah.
Nobody has to do this, but you're choosing to do this.
Right.
And you have that choice. So when I put myself on stage, it was I was like, I don't have to do this. I could go out and party on every weekend if I want to. Exactly. Free will and choice, but I'm choosing not to because I have that at the end, and that's my focus. Yeah. And as we're creating this warrior within, we have to be focused. We have to be focused, and our body needs the tools and the mechanisms of what it requires, as well as our brains, to work together.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it can be so much fun. That's the other thing.
I think that's the ultimate biohack, is the play aspect. It's the play aspect, because it is so fun.
Yeah. It's hard work but fun.
Yeah.
The amount of laughter that I have with my clients and in the gyms with the girls and the teams and stuff that are using it's so fun. It's way more fun than when I had my gym. Right. We're just laughing sometimes when these waves go the wrong way. I'm like, what's going on with you? And it's so fun. And it's so fun. Light, making it light, but it's serious as well. If we want what we want and we want to go where we want to go, then we have to be okay with these human bodies to help get us there. That's right.
I mean, and whether you're a singer or a musician or a painter or anything, there's always that journey, there's always that process of getting there. And that's the part that it's not about what we're going to look like or feel like. It's like from the first day that I started using it, I had the intent that I was going to apply the inertia wave with my warrior training that I was doing personally, because I was going through some deep stuff. And to me, someone who's dealt with anxiety and panic my whole life to the extreme, where, you know, you just feel like you're short circuiting and you feel like you're going through that death experience. What I noticed is also another thing that I use the inertia wave for is when I have too much energy running in me and I don't know what to do with it, and I start to feel a little bit overwhelmed in my mind, and I start to feel chaotic, and I don't feel grounded. I'll go out, I'll throw on my ankle weights, and I'll go in the garage and I'll put the music up really loud, and I'll channel my anxiety into the waves. And it's almost like the universe is just like taking it from me and then giving me, and so it's like 3 minutes, my shoulders are down. I don't even remember why I was freaked out or upset. I'm breathing, because that's one thing that you have to do when your shoulders are out, is you're breathing. This you can shallow breathe. This you have to belly breathe. You have to bring your breath all the way down, which takes your brain out of fight or flight in about 3 seconds. And then you forget that you're freaked out. And so I've actually also been using it for anxiety that kind of washes, you know, when we get a big like solar flare or a big, you know, wave of energy hit, because I feel everything. Like right before we were talking, I was watching the Superman movie, the Man of Steel, the first one, because my son wanted to watch it. And it was that scene where he's like, I feel everything. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I can so relate to that. But it's also nice to feel everything, but not feel like a victim, to feel cause over being able to experience that. So if some of you guys out there are beginning to feel like that you've been a victim of your own empathy or a victim of your own sensitivity, the stronger your body gets, the less you're going to feel victimized by your empathy, the less you're going to feel victimized by your sensitivity, because you're going to feel sensitive, but you're going to feel really strong in that sensitivity, which means good boundaries. You're not settling. Think about like looking your best self or feeling your best self. You're not going to settle for less than you deserve. You're not going to settle for someone that's not going to really love you just because they're available. You're going to be like, I'm too good for that. I mean, it's like your mindset just flips. So the beauty of what we're doing in Vegas is we're bringing every type of quantum acceleration into a 3-day power-packed mind, body, soul integration. The me, myself, and I are going to become one. And when that force comes together with intention, then what happens is that being leaves as their higher self. And they take with them not only knowledge, but wisdom and practice, because practice is what the body uses to learn who it is. If you practice something long enough, the body says, this is who we are. So you can't just do it once. It's like I say like meditation, exercise is like brushing your teeth. It needs to be done every day as that form of discipline to teach your body that it needs to take care of itself in order to exist fully and most healthy. So anything that you want to add about what you really want to bring with Vegas as far as your...
I'm just so can't wait to feel the energy of what we can create with these waves. You know, the waves that you'll all feel it, the waves that come off these things, and the sound, and with every intention that's going on there. Well, like we probably will blow the roof off as well, because until you feel it, it's a little hard to understand. But as these things are going up and down, there's a noise that's created. It's the scalar energy, it's the waves that you can hear, and being able to hear that as a feedback system of what you're putting out, because it's you and it's coming back. So if your intention is out, get the horrible out, and I want the good back in, you get those intentions really strong. So I'm really excited to feel that. Experience that. I've felt it on a little scale with people that really didn't even know what this was.
Right.
So people that are powerful manifestors, and powerful as everyone that will be there will be in this community. Like, it's actually, I get goosebumps thinking about it. It's going to be so fun. And just for everyone, like when the inertia wave, you know, when you guys have a go of it, embrace it and just lighten up with it. Don't have that expectation of exercise.
You can't do it wrong. You can't do it wrong, because it's like your body's, it's like a kid who is unsure what a playground is. As soon as they see the playground, they just run for it. And it's really just, it's such a joyful experience.
When the kids see the inertia waves, when the kids they're
Oh,
like, I want that. What can I have a go? Because it is like a little child's playground of exercise. They love it.
and I got to share a Luke story. So it was connected to my garage from the inside, and I use it in there because it's just too cold outside. And Luke went out there, and the cords were attached, and he'd never seen me do it, and he'd never seen your videos or anything. And he walked up, he picked up both of them, he put his legs apart, and he just started doing it. It was like the most intuitive thing. And then he started doing kind of the double Dutch thing. And I was just watching him. And then it was interesting because I took him I took about 7 kids indoor skydiving this weekend. And we took Luke, he's 6. And, he suited up, he put his helmet up, and he jumped in the tunnel, and the instructor barely had to hold on to him, because it was like, he was so still connected to his body, like that I am presence was so strong that out of all of us, he smiled the whole time. Everybody else was like focusing, and you could see the mind getting in the way. And even me, I was like, oh, am I turning right? And he was just like smiling and waving and doing thumbs up and spinning. And I was just like, and he's 6 and he's never even seen this before. So it was really a good analogy for me to watch him with the inertia wave doing these things, and remember that when we're connected, everything is easy. Like, life isn't hard work when you're in the flow.
No.
It just is. Yeah.
And it's fun and it's play. And that's what I want to do with it over there. I want everyone to just have play with it and experience it. And you can't not feel it.
No, you can't. So we're super excited. If there's anybody that's like, I've got to have this tonight, these are actually available on the Quantum Revolution Tour website, in the store link. And we are working directly with Karen in the Inertia Wave Australia division. So you'll be able to get your inertia waves. There's all different colors. I've got the bright red ones. I love that because it kind of reminds me that I'm working my core and my root chakra. But we'll have all different colors there. We'll have enough for all of you guys to try. We're actually we have a whole program on Saturday designed that is basically, it's the idea of moving into the superhuman abilities with activating the body's potential. So we're going to be using the body all day on Saturday. So you guys will be wearing your fitness clothes out, but you'll get your itinerary if you have your tickets. It goes perfect alignment with what we're doing in the warrior training as well, because it really is about getting inside and learning who and what we are through divinity and love for ourselves, and really kind of test driving our potential right now. That's where we all are as light workers, is we're kind of getting our feet wet and we're testing the waters, and we're really seeing what we can do and what this DNA activations that have been happening for years now, they actually mean for us. So if you guys want to get your hands on one, also I would love for you to post some videos so they can actually see this in action, because I know they're probably like trying to visualize, even in the comments or a link on the website that you could link. We'll put some on the community page. She is on Instagram, so why don't you give us a shout out where we can find you, like your social media, so we can see.
Yeah, so you can get me like on my normal page, Karen Andrews, or Inertia Wave Australia, and I can put the links down there. But tomorrow we've got a big photo shoot that I've planned.
Yeah.
I'm going to be blasting stuff out there, so you'll see what we're doing, and with some models and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, loads, which is fun. So, and
your Instagram account is what? Because I follow you on Instagram, or I can't remember your name. It's just Inertia Wave Australia. Yeah. Awesome. And you guys can see the motions of the athletes doing it, and you can see the different flows and the different routines. And Karen will be in Vegas guiding us, and we'll be setting our intentions, and we'll be working through the system. So thank you so much for joining me. We could talk for hours, as we usually do. And in the meantime, if you guys have any questions for Karen, you can even ask in the comments under this video. She'll have access to responding to all of you guys. You can reach out to her directly. You can reach out to me directly if you're still looking for tickets for Vegas. QuantumRevolutionTour.com. You can still we still have a few tickets left. And we will see you guys all there. So thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you soon. Stay tuned for just a minute while I end this live here. Thanks, guys. We'll see you soon.